After attaining enlightenment, he became the Lord Buddha. He sat and rejoiced in 7 places, 7 days at a time, for a total of approximately 49 days as follows. Week 1, sitting under the Sri Maha Bodhi tree. Didn't get up and go anywhere. He considered the Paticcasamuppada in this way. Week 2, go sit in the northeastern direction of the Sri Maha Bodhi tree. His Majesty looked at the Sri Maha Bodhi tree. His eyes did not flicker. That point is called Animus Pagoda. It expresses the Lord Buddha's appreciation for the Sri Maha Bodhi tree, who sheltered and shaded him, practiced diligently until he was enlightened and enlightened. Week 3. His Majesty walked in meditation in the north between the Sri Maha Bodhi tree and the Animus Pagoda. He walked there and meditated. That point is called Ratanachong Krom Chedi. Week 4. He sat in meditation that the angels had made, located in Payap city. It is in the northwest of the Phra Sri Maha Bodhi tree. That point is called Ratanakorn Chedi. Week 5. Sitting under a banyan tree named Achapalani Grodha, a place where goat herders live, located in the east of the Sri Maha Bodhi tree, while sitting admiring freedom. The 3 little girls of the demons, Mara, Tanha, Raka, and Oradi, came to dance to seduce the Buddha, but were unable to dominate the Buddha's mind, so they withdrew near the bank of the Naranjara River. He sat and considered that what he had learned was profound. People will find it difficult to know and understand. According to the Middle Nikaya, Majjhima Panasaka said,
"Now it is not appropriate for us to preach the Dhamma that we have enlightened, because the Dhamma that we have enlightened is something that ordinary people who are dominated by lust and anger cannot easily see. Those who are colored by lust and completely covered by a pile of darkness, that is ignorance. It is impossible to understand our Dhamma, which is countercurrent, avijja, which is profound. Detailed like this. Middle Nikaya, Middle Ages. He was discouraged from teaching the Dhamma.
Week 6. He sat under a pecking tree named Mujlin, which is in the southeast. It is in the southeast of the Sri Maha Bodhi tree. Meanwhile, it rained all week. Mukhalintanakaraj emerged from the lake in that area. The body size is folded over the body and spread out. The extension protects the Buddha's head and prevents the wind and rain from affecting the body. When the rain has disappeared, Mukhalintanakaraj also left. In the 7th week, he went to sit under the tree named Rajayatana, which is south of the Sri Maha Bodhi tree. While sitting there, 2 merchant brothers, Tapusa and Balika, passed by there. When he saw the Lord Buddha sitting, he brought kayasart rice and satu powder to him. Moreover, he introduced himself as an upasika, meaning he respected the Buddha and the Dhamma. A person who can be depended on for life is called Devavajik Upasaka.
In the Tripitaka, the Buddha considered Sahambodhi Brahma's invitation to teach the Dhamma. The Lord Buddha then considered examining the world of beings with the Buddha's eye, and he saw that there were beings in the world that could still be taught, called Vinayasattva, compared with 3 types of lotus flowers as follows. When I knew that thou, Sahambodhi Brahmaradhana, and relying on kindness in all animals, so examine the world with the Buddha's eye. When the Atmapara examines the world with the Buddha's eye, I also saw a group of animals that had defilements like dust in their little eyes. There are many defilements like dust in the eye. There are strong organics. There are also weak organics. There are good symptoms. There are also bad symptoms. It should be easy to teach. It can be difficult to teach. Some people tend to see punishment in the hereafter as a danger, like in a cluster of lotus, in a cluster of royal lotus, or in a cluster of white lotus, lotus, royal lotus, or white lotus, which were born in the water, developed in the water. Some were not yet above the water, were submerged in the water, nourished by the water. Some were always standing up to the water, and some were raised above the water. The water was not stuck. I saw a group of beings that had defilements like dust in their little eyes. There are many defilements like dust in the eye. There are strong organics. There are also weak organics. There are good symptoms. There are also bad symptoms. It should be easy to teach. It can be difficult to teach. Some people normally see punishment in the hereafter as a danger. Middle Nikaya, Middle Ages. He compared people to 3 lotus flowers, 4 types of people according to Ukatitanyu Sutta. Ukatitanyu Sutta and Manarada Purani describe 4 types of people as follows. 1. Ukatitanyu, those who are intelligent and intelligent. It is right view. When listening to the Dhamma, you can know and understand in a short time. It is like a lotus flower that is above water. When exposed to sunlight, it blooms immediately. 2. Vibjitanyu, those who have good intelligence. It is right view. After listening to the Dhamma, consider it and receive additional training. Will be able to know and understand in no time. It is like a lotus flower near the water, which will bloom the next day. 3. Noeya, those who have little intelligence, but it is right view. When listening to the Dhamma, consider it and receive additional training. Have diligence and perseverance and never give up. Having firm mindfulness, consisting of faith, pasada, will eventually be able to know and understand one day in the future. It is like a lotus flower under water that will slowly emerge and bloom one day. 4. Pathaprama, those without wisdom, and is also a mischievous person. Even though they had listened to the Dhamma, they could not understand the meaning or follow it. They also lack faith in the past. Without perseverance, it is like a lotus flower that is stuck in the mud, but it will also become food for turtles and fish. There is no opportunity to emerge from the water to bloom. The first 3 types are called Vinaya Sattva, one who can advise and teach. As for Padparama, it is the universe of beings, those who cannot advise and teach. 4. Lotus Naisumankol Vilasini. It is stated that the Buddha compared people to 4 types of lotus flowers, using the Padaparama that the Buddha spoke about in the Ukatitanyu Sutta. Let's compare it to the 4 lotuses, resulting in the concept of 4 lotus flowers as follows. The 4 types of people, namely Ukatitanyu, Vipachitanyu, Neya, and Padaparama, are like those 4 lotus flowers. Name: Ukatitanyu, a person who attains enlightenment when he explains the meaning of abbreviations in an unusual way. It's called Vibjitanyu, a person who has attained enlightenment in the Dhamma through diligent memorization, by inquiring, by doing it carefully in your heart, by associating with a good friend named Noeya. A person who cannot attain enlightenment in that life, even though he has studied a lot, has taught a lot, has taught him a lot, is called Pataparama. Atthakatha, Dikha Nikaya, Mahavaka, Mahapadana Sutta, Dhammadesanadhitanavana.
Now Sayambadi Brahma heard this and thought, what will the world be like? Because the mind of the Tathagata, Arahant, fully enlightened Buddha, leans towards being a person with little striving. Do not bow down to teach the Dhamma. Thus Sayambadi Brahmasoti descended from the Brahma world to ask the Lord Buddha to decide to teach the enlightened Dhamma to everyone. Thus Sayambadi from said, Your Majesty, may the Blessed One teach me the Dhamma. May the Blessed One teach the Dhamma. animals there are people who have little defilement like dust in their eyes. He will inevitably decline because he has not listened to the Dhamma. All beings who know the Dhamma will continue to exist. Then Sayambari Brahma he recited another mantra. In conclusion, the main idea is that now impure Dhamma has arisen in the Makut region for a long time. May you open the door to eternal nirvana, so that all beings may hear the Dhamma and attain enlightenment. A person standing on a mountain top, it can be seen all around. Your Majesty he sees all living beings, that is drowning in all sorrow are you dominated by birth, old age, sickness and death. Arise, you brave ones. He who has conquered the war that is defilements. May he travel in the world, may he teach the Dhamma. Animals that will understand his Dhamma definitely exists. After His Majesty determined to teach what he had learned to all mankind, His Majesty considered the first person who was suitable to teach the Dhamma that he had first learned. At first he remembered Alardabas and Lathakasabas first. Both of them were teachers whom His Majesty went to study in his monastery before separating himself to seek enlightenment on his own. He knew that both of them had died. Therefore he remembered the 5 factors. Those who had attended to His Majesty during his asceticism knew in their wisdom that the Pakavaki was residing in the Isapatana Marugatayawan forest in Varanasi. He therefore intended to go to the Isapata Marugatayavan forest to teach the Dhamma to the 5 Panchavagas for the first time. When His Majesty arrived at the residence of the Panchavagas on the full moon day of the lunar month Asalamas, while His Majesty was entering the residence of the Panchavagas, the Panchavadis saw the Buddha from afar. Because of the reason that the Panchavagi was disgusted that Prince Siddhartha, who has abandoned the practice of asceticism and has turned to eating food, has no chance of attaining Dharma, has arrived. So they made an appointment with each other. We should not be quarreling, should not rise to welcome him, do not accept his monk's alms bowl, but you should put your seat aside. If he wishes to sit, he will sit himself. When the Lord Buddha entered the Panchavaki group, the Panchavati monks completely forgot the agreement they had made in the first place. They all rose up to welcome the Lord Buddha. A figure receives alms from the Lord Buddha's robes. A picture of a person laying the seat. One image provided water for washing the royal feet. One figure is set up on a footstool. One figure brought in a towel for wiping His Majesty's feet. The Buddha then sat on the seat offered by the Panchavati. The Buddha said,
We, the Tathagata, are arahants and have attained enlightenment ourselves. Let your ears be attentive. I have attained the Amritama. I will teach and teach the Dhamma. You are practicing as I have taught you. How soon? Will make you understand your wonderful qualities, which is the ultimate in celibacy that all those who are ordained from their homes want. With great wisdom by oneself.
At first, the Panchavati monks still did not believe that the Buddha was an arahant. Enlighten yourself properly, so he objected 3 times. Even with that behavior, even with that attitude, even with all that behavior, he still had not attained a Taranasadama, which is special knowledge and opinion in the most excellent and able manner. A Trinasadamaranandasana. Now he's avaricious, let go of perseverance in order to become a greedy person. How to attain a Taranasadama, which is knowledge, a very special opinion that can be described. The Buddha said,
Do you guys still remember that? I have spoken words like this before. Look, monks, the Tathagata is an arahant. Enlighten yourself properly. All of you, listen carefully. We will teach the immortality that we have attained. We will preach when you do what I'm teaching you. No matter how long, it will make you realize the ultimate chastity, which has no other Dhamma than that many young men leave the monastery and are ordained as monks as desired. With great wisdom at present, and you can access it.
With such words the Panchavagi therefore obeyed the Lord Buddha, listened intently, and set his mind to know more. When the Pakavakis intended to listen to his Dhamma, the Buddha took the Pakavakis to Isapatana Marugatayawan forest, then performed Dhammachakra Pavathanasara is called. The first sermon is the first sermon on the Dharmachakra, which is the propagation of the Dhamma for the first time in the world. The Lord Buddha summed up the contents of his first sermon in the Sekhetapika Sutta, Manjanikya Paripaka.
Monks, the Tathagata, the Arahant, right and fully enlightened Buddha, the Anuttara Dhammachakra, has been proclaimed. At Isipatana Maruekatayawan forest, near the city of Varanasi, it is the Dhammachakra that no monk, Brahmin, god, Mara, Brahman, or anyone in the world can resist and cannot turn back. It is a truth that no one can deny. This is telling, showing, ordaining, revealing, classifying, and simplifying. The four noble truths are suffering, the cause of suffering, the cessation of suffering, and the noble truth is the path that makes those who follow it know the cessation of suffering. Middle Nikaya Uparipanasaka Sajjavibhaga Sutta.
When the Lord Buddha was delivering this first sermon, the sight of the Dhamma occurred to Venerable Kondanya. Anything, it is a normal occurrence. That whole thing, they all naturally cease to exist. Venerable Kondanya has achieved the rank of noble person. The Lord Buddha knew that Phra Kondanya was a person who had eyes to see the Dhamma. Having a clear understanding of his teachings, he exclaimed, "Venerable Anya Kondanya is considered as the first noble disciple monk in Buddhism, which day is the 15th full moon day in the middle of Asala month, or the 8th month, is the day when the triple gem is complete. Arose in the world for the first time with Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha complete. Today it is the place where Buddha first preached the Anutta truth, and the place where the first monk in the world was born. It is in the area where Dhammika Stupa, meaning stupa of those who see the Dhamma, is located within the current Isipatana Maragathayavan, or Sarnan. Monks, form is the body. Feeling is the knowledge of happiness and suffering, or neither happiness nor suffering. Promise is memory. Body is condition that happens to the mind. Decorate the mind to be good, sometimes evil, and the soul is the mind. Collectively, these 5 khandhas are anatta and not the self. If these 5 khandhas are the self, then the person who owns it can desire it. As you please, saying, "Let it be like this." Don't be like that. But because the 5 aggregates are anatta and not the self, the person who owns them cannot control them as he wishes. When the Lord Buddha taught the monks to consider separating the body and mind through the 5 aggregates, it is no longer anatta, not the self. The Panchavagi monks considered the trend of the sermon. The mind is freed from the taint. Don't hold on to preconceived notions. All became arahants. At that time, there were 6 arahants in the world, the Buddha and the Panchavagi monks. The other 5 were Phra Anyakondanya, Phra Vapa, Phra Bhattiya, Phra Mahanama, and Phra Asaji.